The Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. Tonight, I felt excited around this topic. Are you living for someone else's expectations? Because this is how I lived for nearly 30 years of my life. And so this concept of not living that way has brought so much freedom into my life, and it has radically changed. Honestly, it's funny, not necessarily the external much, but internally, I feel like I've just transformed really truly at a molecular level because of this shift from living for someone else's expectations versus living as I feel called. And I think that that's where this is probably one of the most important things for us to discuss tonight, is that not living for somebody else's expectations does not mean that, I'm going to go and be selfish. It's not this common understanding of self-love, which is selfishness. I've seen that so much, and I know you have too. We've seen these excuses for, I'm just going to love myself, as the excuse for selfishness and not taking care of people, and actually not living in alignment with what I value and who I want to be. It's gone this pendulum swing. And we see it with nearly every generation. There's a pendulum. And so sometimes there are a need for swinging to the other side of the extreme in order to then come and find the middle ground. But we see such extremes. And so the question that really should be on our minds tonight is, who are we living for? And at the end of the day, that's ultimately the question in so many ways. It's, who am I living for? What am I living for? Why am I living? Asking that question. Even as I say that, why am I living? That's a big question, and that's a hard question. And that's part of the reason why on Wednesdays we have trivia nights, just to add some levity to these conversations, because on the Knowing Show, the goal is to go deep. The goal is to discuss the hard questions. The goal is to be really authentic and actually vulnerable, and it doesn't mean you need to be vulnerable with me per se, although I find it such an honor when people do choose to be vulnerable, but be vulnerable with yourself. The goal is that this is the space where you and I look in the mirror and where we ask ourselves the hard questions. And I actually welcome your questions, both to challenge me, but also to challenge yourself and to challenge each other. One of the things that we're looking to create over the next couple of weeks is the Knowing community, because man, is there a need for community. I posted on my Facebook earlier today and on my LinkedIn, and was talking about some of the comments I've seen over the last couple of weeks around loneliness. And there is a loneliness epidemic in so many ways. Like, I was actually talking with someone tonight about it, and they were like, we saw it happen during COVID, but we haven't really bounced back. We haven't really rebounded. And, there's something around the loneliness of being. It's especially lonely when you're in a room sitting next to your partner or your kids or your best friend or your family and feeling so not known and so not seen. That loneliness is worse than being alone. And there's a big difference between being alone versus lonely. And so this conversation around, who am I living for, and am I living for someone else's expectations? I think that loneliness actually has a big part to play in this, because the goal is not in eliminating, I'm no longer going to be living for other people's expectations. The goal is not to eliminate community, eliminate those people. Because here's the thing, eliminating those people, if we're not addressing the real issue, you're just going to find someone else to live for. I like this example, and bear with me, I'm literally going to grab my charger. I was thinking about this example the other day on the show. The reality is that if we are living for somebody else, there's a reason why. We're getting something from them. Either they're solidifying our value or they're nurturing our sense of meaning. We are doing that for a reason. We're living for someone else's expectation. We're living for them because they need a need. And that's really, really important for us to address. And no one else can say what that need is for you except for you. So in this moment, we're talking about Knowing Show. The goal is to hold up a mirror, and the goal is to be vulnerable with ourselves. The question is, why am I fulfilled when I am living for somebody else? What do they give me? And so this is what I was grabbing. this example of when we are living for somebody else, it's like our electrical, our plug is hooked up into their electrical socket. We are sourcing life and meaning and worth, whatever it is that you get from them, you're plugged in. You're getting your needs met by them being your source. And it's the source of what? That's for you to say. The source that they're of them providing you what you need in terms of validation or worth or even a sense of meaning. Honestly, I see this a lot with women and even men with their children. You know, there's actually an inappropriate relationship between parents and kids when parents can actually become emotionally dependent on their children. That's a very inappropriate power shift where actually the child has the power over the parent's emotions, for better or for worse. The child has the ability to upset the parent. The child has the ability to calm the parent. Either way, there's an inappropriate power dynamic when the child has the ability to soothe you or upset you, disrupt your emotional stasis. And so your child may actually be the thing that you're hooked up to. And your partner could be the thing. Your work might be the thing. The question is, who are you living for? And why are you living for them? What needs are they meeting by you hooking up to them as kind of the electrical socket? And so that's first, in order for us to have this conversation, is who is that? And what is that source? Where am I actually deriving my worth? Where am I deriving my meaning? Where am I deriving even... I think that there's something around I am liked because of, and then insert the blank. So like it's not just worth, like that's a very vague concept. It's, oh, I'm liked when I'm funny. Oh, I'm liked when I'm witty. I'm liked when I'm smart. I connect with other people. Again, with getting your needs met. Maybe your need is being liked. Maybe your need is emotional connection. Maybe your need is purpose. And so whatever your need is, and I think that one of the best ways to find out our needs, this is a really, really good question, is when I'm alone, what do I think about? A friend of mine, he said that growing up, he would constantly think about where his next meal was coming from. That's a need. The security, food security is a need. And then for others, I've heard people say, I would wonder about my relationship with my parents. Like, were they going to come home angry or were they going to come home loving? Another friend said, I would come home from school and wonder how my mom was going to be that day. Would she be in a good mood? Would she be in a bad mood? And depending on the mood she was in, it would be a good night or a bad night. So that concept of like, okay, is there stability? Is there security? Is there reliability with these people? So often it starts in childhood. This is how we even start living according to other people's expectations to begin with. So often it's rooted in and stemming from a childhood experience or experiences built on top of each other. A dear friend of mine, she was talking about her relationship with her sister growing up, and they shared a bedroom. And it was like the slow drip of little cut after little cut. They say you die by 1,000 cuts. It's so true. It's all the little moments, like the dripping of a faucet in the same place. It erodes over time. It erodes a part of us. And so to survive as kids in those dynamics, in those situations, we learn a behavior, we learn a pattern, we learn a program of how to approach the world. And so we either learn it in our nervous system, we learn it cognitively, and it all plays a part together, but it manifests itself in different ways. And so depending on what that experience was as a child, it set us up for a particular need that was there was an instability there. There was an insecurity there. So for me, for example, one of the things that I really had an understanding and a grasp of was that if I behaved a certain way, I would get the love that I needed and the love that I wanted. And my parents are absolutely wonderful humans. I'm so grateful for that. And here's the playbook, play by these rules and you'll win. And so frankly, I didn't actually toe the line too much. I actually saw it happen with my siblings when they didn't do the box game, when they didn't fit within the parameters of this is the appropriate manner of being in our home. When they didn't do that, I watched the emotional disconnect that took place. So emotional connection was my desired outcome. And so let me fit into this box, let me fit into this mold, and let me get my needs met, which is emotional connection. And so for other people, whether it was food insecurity, whether it was walking on eggshells with your mom because you didn't know what mood she would be when you got home, whether it was bracing for impact when your dad walked in, because depending on how he shut the door and the weight of the door slam, that would indicate whether he was in a good mood or bad mood and whether you would face the consequences of that or not. Every single one of us had needs when we were kids, and depending on the insecurity or security of them, we formed narratives around the world. So this question of, are you living for other people's expectations? It's almost an automatic yes, because if we haven't questioned this before, if we haven't examined this question in other conversations with friends or even with colleagues, a therapist, just doing this work, this is part of what doing the work is asking questions like this. And so if we haven't done this before, it's pretty safe to assume that, yeah, I've got old patterns. Yeah, I've got old mindsets. Yes, my electrical plug in charger is being hooked up somewhere to meet that need. And so I'm excited to talk deeper about loneliness, because frankly, I think loneliness very specifically has to do with this conversation. But before I do, I just want to jump here in the chat. Ruben, hello, good to see you. He says, yes, I'm a little early. Wayne, I love this. Who am I living for? Why am I living? Hope you're well. I'm so glad to see you. Raya, good to see you. Bank Top, 4748. Hello, J. Chris. I'm glad to see you. I'm doing good. He says, how are you? I'm doing well. I had a good day. It was actually, what did I go to see? Feng Shui, I think it was. It was this beautiful, like Chinese dance. It was very traditional. It was absolutely gorgeous. And it's cool, it's cool to immerse ourselves in different cultures and to just learn from them. So that was really special. C. Martin Love, good evening. I'm glad to see you. 4748 says, I have feelings for a coworker. I hate it. I don't know if I'm assuming you're talking about romantic feelings, but I don't know what feelings you're alluding to. So tell me more about that. Sai, nice scarf. Thank you, Sai. Good to see you. C. Martin, it can refer to how your personality shifts based on your mood or surroundings. I am like a different person when I am stressed. Yeah, this is like literally looking in the mirror, right? This is a question of not just, okay, how were other people's moods shifting growing up, but how did my mood shift in reaction and in relation to them? That's such a good point, because here's the thing. When we do grow up with that instability, we suffer the consequences in so many ways of our body, like literally our nervous system, every part of us. The book, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk is so good. It's also very heavy. It's like a very thick, dense book. He is the psychologist that he effectively originated the term post-traumatic stress disorder. And in that conversation, he talks about, or in the book, really, he talks about how the body records data. This is why when we talk on the show about like the intelligence of the body, the intelligence of the mind, the intelligence of the emotions, we know about intellectual intelligence, we know a little bit about emotional intelligence, but we don't know much about physical intelligence. We don't know much about spiritual intelligence. And so when we start realizing that the different parts of us store data, like our physical body stores and recalls data from our past experiences, then it just heightens our need to really go back and be like, oh, what does my body remember when I hear that door slam? It was, I won't. There's things that I was going to share an example, but it's so deeply personal. So maybe I'll save it for later. But I've been surprised about what my body remembers that I didn't. And it catches us by surprise. It's these war veterans, specifically in the book, that he talks about, where these war vets are like totally normal, totally fine. And then they hear a sound or something happens. They have a flashback, like literally flashback. It's funny, we talk about flashback, we talk about triggered, but both have a very similar effect on our body. And it's like being taken back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 weeks ago, 50 years ago. And all of a sudden we're back in that room. We're back on the battlefield. We're back in that environment that was so unsafe for us. And then however we acted in that moment, whatever defenses we learned and programmed into our body, programmed into our mind and soul, that is what's going to come out. That's why, so often when we're engaging with even people that we love, we're like, what just happened? Like, you just totally changed right before my eyes. And y'all, I felt this in me. Like, I've watched myself turn into this like angry kid. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, you feel kind of out of control. And so in these conversations, you know, part of it is about regaining control, regaining, and control sounds a little bit negative, but I want to talk about kind of the positive side of control, where it's not about controlling the environment or controlling other people, but it's about you and I sitting in the driver's seat of our life. Think of it as like the helm of the ship, like you and I taking the wheel. Because for so long as we are living in accordance with everyone else's expectation, so long as we're living reacting to how they show up, reacting to how they have encountered us in the past, and we're literally like bracing for impact and we're waiting to see how these people are going to show up in our lives, man, they have all the power. They have all the power over us. 2OG, good to see you. I'm glad you're back. Daniel, all right. I'm glad you're here. Ruben, thank you. That's meaningful, my friend. Thank you. Wayne, I was in a trauma-bonded relationship for over 20 years because of childhood trauma. Everybody should heal their inner child. You're worth it. That's so, it's so incredibly true how we repeat the past. And so often it's because we didn't work through it then. It's like, we repeat the cycles until we learn something new, until we're able to actually move through it. And until we move through it, can we then get to the other side? And so it's moving through either the past or a new circumstance very much like the past to then move through it to get to the other side. Wayne says, I don't live in survival mode anymore. Wow. Christopher Adams, wow. I still hate 4th of July because of the fireworks. It sounds like, chills. It sounds like a muffled grenade and my nerves escalate. I used to have severe anxiety attacks when I first departed the military. First, thank you for your service. I get like worked up about this. I hate how little support there is for our veterans. You know, there's so little support on transitioning out of it. There's so little support even for like getting a new job. All right, y'all, I knew this would happen. I asked you a couple weeks ago about cooking with you guys, and my timer just went off. So rather than hopping off prematurely, I'm going to find the meat thermometer and stick it in my chicken and see where we're at. So let me put you down. All right. Let's do this. I've never actually done this before. All right. Here's my oven. All right. Hold on a second. I got to get where's the thingy? Here's my thing. I got my hot pad. I am making Moroccan chicken, which is very exciting. I have a green sauce for it. I think it's done. It looks very done. All right. Sorry, guys. BRB. Yeah, this is done. Okay. Okay. All right. I made this a couple weeks ago, and it was so good. But I only had a few minutes before the show to start preparing it. Also, I'm going to, as we start the Knowing community, I think that we're going to switch times a little bit. I'm trying to find a good time where everybody's available, but also it's not like right in the middle of mealtime. I was thinking 7:30. So that's a little bit off topic. That's very off topic. But I would love to hear 7:30 on y'all's end. Benny Thomas says Moroccan chicken. Yes. Oh my gosh, it is so good. And I actually made a green sauce to go on it. And the green sauce is so good. C. Martin Love, people often recreate past painful experiences in an unconscious attempt to change the outcome and finally feel a sense of control or to solve a past wound. Yes, it's so true. It's so true. And to be honest with you, whenever my darling and I have a problem, it's very much so like, oh, well, what are we trying to heal right now? Like, what are we actually, because here's the thing, here's a radical thought. If we really believe we're creators and we actually believe that what we're experiencing here and now is actually a reflection of our thoughts, then what am I recreating for the purpose of healing? What am I recreating for the purpose of being able to free myself from the past? And actually, here's the thing that's so wild is that us doing that is actually very loving to us, because it's like, hey, you're not going to listen any other way until I wave this massive red flag, cause a fight, cause a trauma experience here in your present, because you're so unwilling to reconcile the past. Y'all, I've never thought about it in that way. It's dangerous. Here's the thing. Wow. It is dangerous for us to get into a relationship with someone else who has not resolved their trauma, because then that means that they're probably going to bring their trauma with them, not just the past with them, but recreate it here in this moment with you so that they can resolve it. Because that is the power of the body. The body wants us well. But it's funny. This is what's so interesting. And I'm totally brainstorming with you guys. The body and the mind, the soul, the spirit. Like there's different. I was introduced to therapy with this therapeutic process called internal family systems. And internal family systems is effectively representing, there's 4 parts of us: the manager, the controlling part, the firefighter, the part of us that's like distracting from the pain, the wounded part that is like constantly trying to be hidden by the controlling part and the distracting part. But then there's our true self. And for so long as either the controlling part or the distracted part is in the driver's seat, they're like shutting up the wounded part, trying to protect it and keep it safe. But the wounded part needs love. It needs attention. So it's really the wounded part, like finally like breaking through the distractor and the controlling part to be like, help me, pay attention to me. I want to heal. I want to get better. And when we finally listen, and it's not just, here's the thing that's really powerful. If you and I can create this space, dedicate the time to heal with intention, then we're not living reactively. We're not living in reaction to other people. Oh, you define my worth. You define my purpose. You define my validation and meeting my needs. We're also not living in reaction to ourselves, to the wounded part. Instead, we're actually creating space and time every single day to go in, literally to go into ourselves and say like, how are you? How am I doing? That is what self-love means. It doesn't mean a hot bubble bath. It does not mean to go and just screw up everybody that you have a responsibility to. Self-love is not the abdication of responsibility. In fact, it is the very opposite. It is the assumption of responsibility, radical responsibility to go inward and address the wounds that we've tried to silence for years and really, really listen. Radical responsibility is removing judgment and really being curious, because those wounds are there for a reason. And the distracting part and the controlling part are trying to do their best. Like they're really trying to do their best to keep you safe. So it's going in, not just even, I talk about this in Knowing. I'm finishing up my book. Hopefully I'll be done tomorrow. But the thing that's cool was that it's not just about eliminate judgment and be curious, because curious is almost like neutral, but actually going in to looking at the controlling part, to looking at the distracting part and thanking it. Like, thank you for the job that you've done. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. Thank you for all those years that you learned how to survive at 6, 7, 10, 12, 14. You learned survival skills to keep you safe. And sometimes it was 25, 18 years old. Like we learned survival skills, and they're not meant to just be handled lightly. They're meant to be regarded with respect. Just going into the chat, Christopher Adams, Mark Twain once said, history rhymes. So whenever we have a deja vu moment, it's because as it's translated in French, we are familiar to it based on a point already passed in time. I love that. So what's really interesting about that, Christopher, is that it's not even that we experience this exact same thing, but something so likened to it that it's like the whispers of the past to the point we're so familiar. So really maybe at deja vu moments, it's like slow all the way down. Like when we do have a deja vu moment, that's actually our sign. This morning we were talking on the morning show about being and about taking that moment to, there are 3 steps really that I experienced to learn how to be present, because I didn't know. All of my worth was assigned to my doing. And so it was slow down, lean into whatever the emotion or discomfort is that I'm feeling, whether it's emotionally or physically. Like if there's something in me that's like, hold up, I need to slow down. And then I need to lean into that feeling. And then I need to ask why. So if we're getting a deja vu flashback, I wonder if that's one of those times where it's like, okay, let me slow down, lean in and ask why. Why am I remembering this? Why is my body reacting the way that it is? And deja vu moments don't mean that they're bad, but maybe there is something from the past that's trying to get our attention. Benny Thomas, he says, oh my gosh, it is amazing. I love Moroccan chicken. So good. Christopher Adams, not to sound fastidious, but I'd love to see you host a cooking show. Okay, I have such a fun idea. You know what we should do? For the Knowing community, we should have like once a week we do cooking hour. We should do a cooking hour once a week, and we should do trivia once a week. That would be so fun. And then those can be the nights where we like try new recipes and like literally just hang out. And I don't know if y'all are wine drinkers. I do like wine. So wine and cooking. That would be so fun. C. Martin Love, conscious awareness of the patterns, recognizing what sparks emotional reactions and breaking the addiction to familiar, yet dysfunctional situations. Breaking the addiction to the familiar. I love that concept. That's so good, C. Martin Love. I think that warrants a whole conversation, like a whole show. That's so good. Ruben says, hurt people. Brian, you're one of my favorite people, Brian. He says, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. I'm so glad you remember to say that. Ruben says, by that I mean hurt people tend to hurt people. Man, I think we've all been on the receiving end of that. And I think we've all been on the side of also giving that. Like all of us have been hurt at some point or another. So I think we've all experienced it in both ways. Tommy Schaefer, hello. He says, Christene Marie, I just love how every time your face scrolls by, it makes my face smile. And then when I see your live and hear your words, it makes my soul smile. Oh, all the smiles, Tommy. I love you. Keep on being you. Also, how adorable it is that you refer to your partner, I think, as darling. And I love it. He is I love calling him darling. It's so, because otherwise I just don't like the word my partner. I think that's like, it's so cold. It's like your business partner, your life partner. But and frankly, here's what's funny. Every time I refer to him that way, it like emotionally predisposes me towards a soft emotion towards him, which I actually think is really important. I think the more that we speak in really fond terms about the people we love, because it's so easy to have those eye roll moments. And like literally every word that comes out of our mouth, every single thought teaches our brain and body, soul, spirit, our orientation towards that person, that experience, that moment. And so if I really am oriented towards gratitude, and even just having like these words that I just speak out around these people, man, it's really helped me. So it's really, I want to be in the driver's seat, teaching my body and mind how to respond to different people and how I want to think about people. Like I asked my darling today, I said, what do you want that relationship to look like? And he flipped this on me a year ago. I was actually hiring an employee who was probably 20 years older than me. And I was like, I mentioned to him, I was like, I feel a little funny, like telling her what to do. And I just, I feel a little bit insecure in this relationship. And he told me, he was like, well, what do you want it to look like? But until we consciously, with intention, think about how do I want this to go? It's going to be living on default. It's going to be living on autopilot. We're going to start picking up those subconscious narratives from past experiences, not even to do with the present. We're just going to repeat what we know. So we have to reintroduce something new to our nervous system. Y'all, I don't want to repeat my marriage. And so I have to work really hard to teach new like neurological pathways to no longer be codependent. I have to work really hard on that because that is my default. That is the natural state of things. My darling came and was with my family and me a year ago, and he saw how I interacted with them. I've never had this mirrored to me. He said it was like watching Cinderella. And I was like, what? Like, never in my life have I thought that. And as I thought about that, one, he was holding up a mirror and saying, hey, by the way, this is how you're acting. And two, when I sat with it, I actually found that role that I was playing with my family, that's where I derived my value. They were actually meeting my need by me being the role of Cinderella. And they never asked for that. They never claimed that they wanted that. Sure, maybe they're used to it now and things have changed since then. But like, they never expected that from me. But me stepping in and playing that role, I teach them how to treat me. And then here's the thing that's really, really dangerous. So often we can get resentful for the very thing which we treated people how to treat us. We get resentful for that, but really we did it. And so that's why these mirror moments are really, really important, of looking in the mirror and saying, "Ooh, did I actually cause this?" So it's just a really, anyways, that was just a simple comment you made, Tommy, and I just went off with it. But Proco, good to see you. He says, "What's up, Mama Jabaz?" I did not, man. We'll just cut that from the live. I tried. I couldn't do it. I feel like I wish I was cool like that. I'm not. It's fine. Christopher says, just as God loves us in completion, so must we love others and inherently ourselves at the same time. You wouldn't eat half slices of pizza and not expect to be full. Tommy says, oofta, we have a radical responsibility to go inward. Oh, you switch over to YouTube. Yay. He says, oh my gosh, hell yeah, wine and cooking. I love it. Yay. C. Martin says, yes, that sounds fun. That sounds great. Cooking is always fun. Y'all, let's freaking do it. I'm so excited. I would love, love, love to do this. Bangkok. I need to look more into what you're saying there. I actually don't know what you mean, but he says, I bet your phone is charged in 2 minutes. Okay, I thought so. I thought that's what it meant, something like that. Ruben, thanks for catching what Bangkok put down. All right, just scrolling down. James, I'm so glad to see you. James from the UK. Hello, my friend. How powerful of a relationship and how delightfully refreshing to see it happen. I have these kinds of darling dreams myself. Got to go find my darling. Y'all, I would be super interested to have a conversation around kind of honestly like romantic relationships. I posted today on my LinkedIn and Facebook about loneliness and just what I've been kind of seeing in our conversations. And somebody posted he was like, I'm sick and tired of women playing games with me. I'm sick and tired of like it being this way. And so I'd rather be lonely. And I think we need to have some really honest conversations. And so with the knowing community, I want to have a channel dedicated or like a thread, a stream dedicated to conversations because one, some people do want, their marriage to end, but a lot of people want their marriage to work. A lot of people want a healthy relationship, but we're not taught how to do relationships. It's insane. And so we need to go to school we need to go to relationship school. And so I've been figuring that out for the last couple of years. Like I had to get vertical first. I had to figure out, okay, who did God make me to be? Who am I vertically? And now I can start looking horizontally. And here's the thing. There are 7 different words for love in the Greek. There is not just one that's romantic. And so relationships are far beyond the romantic. It's the relationship with ourselves, the vertical one, but it's also brotherly love. It's the lifetime commitment. It's the flirtatious and sexy kind of love, but that's just one. And so if we put all of our eggs in the basket of romantic relationships, we're going to be disappointed. That's like our little friendly example of if we're hooked up to something romantic and to those romantic dreams, it's like, man, we're going to be left disappointed. So anyways, that's something that I'd like to do. Vern's not here. Hello, Burns. It's been a while. I'm so glad you joined us. Proco says, what can a man do to elevate a woman outside of her emotional shadow attraction and into an attraction of truth and knowingness that does not lead to a game over accomplishment in the woman? First, I love that we're on the same page. I'm trying to be honest. I'm going to read this one more time because the ending, I think I maybe misread. What can a man do to elevate a woman outside of her emotional shadow attraction and into an attraction of truth and knowingness that doesn't lead to a game over accomplishment in the woman? Game over accomplishment. I don't know what you mean by that, but frankly, I think it lends to what we were just talking about in terms of relationships. I gotta tell you something that has been really true for me. A woman and a man, we cannot change anybody. they have to want to change. And I know this from being in a marriage for 8.5 years. And I also know this from me looking in my own mirror and seeing how I didn't change until I decided that I was desperate enough. It has to be our own decision. And I will say, people are inspired by example. So are you that person? I think that's like, and Proco, I'm sure you are, but I want to reflect that back to all of us. Are we living in accordance with who we're trying to attract? That is not what we want to hear. We want to hear, like, how am I going to find the perfect person? Give me the 1, 2, 3 steps. But like, are we actually living in accordance with that highest and best and most true version of ourselves that will actually attract that person? This man I was talking to last night at an event, he said that he went on a dating sabbatical and he felt the call 3 mornings in a row during his meditation to write a book. And it was only after he finished writing the book that then literally, like, right after that, he met his now partner. But if we're not obeying what we know we should do, and we're not living in accordance with who we know we should be, why on earth would that person come to us? We're not ready. We're not being a good steward of our own life. How in the world could we steward someone else's? And not that we're the steward of them, but there is something very, very intimate about being like a co-caretaker of their heart and soul and spirit, and who are they becoming? And so if we're not worthy, if we're not walking in accordance with who we know we should be, then why ever would we expect to attract that right person? So I think that those two things, like, be the person, and also even putting yourself in environments where those people exist. But Proco, I'm curious, I'm just going to scroll down. Are you in a relationship? It's like, are you currently in a relationship where you're trying to elevate that person? Because that's very different than trying to attract somebody. So I'm curious where you find yourself. And I love that question. That's so profound. Out of her, a shadow attraction. That is so profound. All right, I'm actually close out a tab because I can tell that I'm getting glitchy. All right, hopefully, I think I'm back. All right, what was for dinner today? Well, I haven't eaten dinner. I actually need to go eat soon. And I need to do my third show tonight. But Moroccan chicken is for dinner on the menu. My Gen X, hello. My music Gen X. Good to see you. Evil twin loneliness, avoiding IHOS, peace. Oh, I'm so intrigued by this. I feel like there's a whole rabbit hole that I'm going to get down in there. I had to get vertical first. That means you had to stand up. No, it means I had to get myself in order. Like, I really had to take responsibility for me before I could start looking externally. Wafa, hello. Good to see you. Jake, God had blessed me with many doors, relationships, but I could never step both feet through. Emotional maturity is more my journey these days. Ruben, I so respect that. That's a really, really hard reflection. And I really honor that. Jack, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Tommy, that resonates deeply. I feel like I have thousands of friends, no hyperbole, but still painfully lonely at times. While, of course, sometimes also extremely grateful to be alone. Isn't that such a difficult thing? I support this idea. You have to discuss all things loneliness. So important these days. Man in the Hat, hello. Good to see you. Afros, hello. Tommy says, solid. Girl, you nailed it. It's not about finding the perfect darling, but rather becoming that perfect being that I can be for my future darling. I love it. Proco says, I'm single, but learning from my past girlfriends. Good for you. Man, honestly, y'all, I think that we're doing a lot of work here on the show. We're growing a lot together, and it's like, okay, who do I need to become to attract that ideal person? And I would say get specific on who you want and who you want to be with. What if you became that person? how much of what we think we need in our partner is actually what we need literally for and from ourselves, because no one else is ever going to understand what we've been through to the extent that we have personally experienced it. And even if they experience it with us, they're experiencing it through their lens, through their past, through their own biases, subjectively. You know, we're never going to have the exact same experience as someone else. So until we turn this electrical socket around, and until we can actually be internally sourced, and until we can really meet our own needs, man, I think that we're constantly going to be looking outward for the fulfillment that can only be found inward. And really, we're made for community. So don't get me wrong. It's not about like, oh, I don't need anybody. No, we actually really do need each other, but it's from the inward first and then outward. You know, in my book, and I'm super excited to share it with you guys. I really would love your feedback. In my book, I talk about, you know, the first step is going inward and assuming radical responsibility inward. And then we activate agency and like assume the power to then focus outward. And when we focus outward, man, it's powerful. We can make such a big impact because now we have a presence that we're bringing. We're not just like looking around for everybody else to meet our needs, but we're actually able to give from a full cup. We're able to give from this place and this presence that makes an impact with every single person we're around. And then people want to be around us and they come to us. And then we have to deal with the question of like, everybody needs me and wants me. And it's like overwhelming, but what a better place to be than you're needing and wanting everybody else because you have nothing to fulfill on your own, you know, like what an incredible thing. John Malik, we just don't talk like that. I'm putting you on timeout, but I'm so happy for you to be here. So please feel free to hang out with us, but we don't talk like that. Ansley, good. Thank you. Good to see you today. Ruben says, great metaphor. What's a plug without an outlet? So isn't that so true? And really, like we get to be that outlet. It's so freaking cool. And it's not just us. Like we talk about this on the morning show. You know, it's us plugging into who God made us to be and to the identity that God has given us and to Christ in us. Like we don't have to do it alone. And I think that that's like at our core, if we are sitting next to at the dinner table, our partner, and we've never felt farther away, then we are going to need that internal source and also that communion with God, because that is far more lonely than actually being alone. To be in a room where you're supposed to feel safe and known and loved, and you've never felt more lonely than ever before, that's like a devastation that a lot of people don't talk about. And so if we can be internally sourced, then we have something to give when the going gets tough within the confines of our family and within the confines of our internal relationship that's supposed to be life-giving to us. Israel, we don't talk like that, so I'm going to put you on timeout, but I'm glad you're here. Feel free to hang out with us. Christopher Adams says, side note, I'd love to buy your book and read it when it's published. Christopher, I want to give it for free to folks in the community and do like a knowing book club. So if you're up for that, I would love that. Obviously I will need people to buy it at some point, but I would love to do that before it's published. And that way, when it is published, because you guys have already read it, you can be like, we like it. Hopefully you do. It's funny when you can tell yourself, like, get vulnerable for a moment. So I totally just got vulnerable. I'm like, I hope you like it. And I also know there will be people who don't like it because there's people who don't like the show. So, but it is vulnerable when you like put all of you out there and you're like, here, world. Alex, oh, hi, Alex. Good to see you. Humankind is a masculine and feminine. You must find the opposite in yourself if you want to find the opposite in someone else. Ooh, I love that. I've never heard that. Oh, my Lanta. Steve, hello. Steve Hannigan. I'm so glad you're here. Y'all, it's fun getting to know you guys and like know your names. And I'm excited for when we can all hang out in person, virtually, but in person. And maybe in person one day. Who knows? Tommy, I love this. Oh, you should do a show that talks about all of this. Maybe call it the Knowing Show. That's cute. Oh my gosh. Humanities, hello. When should the man and the woman have a sound connection with God? Or I'm sorry, when both the man and woman have a sound connection with God and are fulfilled, There is no more codependence, but two lives coming together to create something beyond what they could themselves. Ugh, so good. Christopher Adams, God is like the captain of a ship. He steers. It's our responsibility to row. I love that analogy. Ansley, what's your topic of discussion today? Our topic is effectively how to live. Well, it's the question. It's really a question. Who are you living for and why? Brian J, hello. Good to see you. Walker, man, he says, is this heaven? You know, heaven is always with you. I will say that. And I know that people don't agree with that, but I actually think we have the opportunity to experience heaven at any time if we so should choose. Scrolling down, DJ, hello. Man in the hat, I choose to be alone. A natural connection is more difficult to find. I try to get to know women, but usually step back for lack of connection. I want my partner to be a friend first. I love that. Man in the hat, I'm wondering, where do you go to make friends? I'm super excited about this. I'm going to go country line dancing. Actually, that's a place where I've heard a lot of men in the military will go country line dancing, or like go out to a dancing place, because it's just a better alternative to like drinking and trying to hook up with somebody at a bar, or just like be friends with somebody. Like when I say hook up, I don't mean like even sexually, just like make friends. It's just a more organic way to do that, to like go out and go dancing. So I don't know. That's what he said. I know a lot of, like, one of my friends had like a bowling league that he was a part of. My music Gen X. You're so sweet. Okay. Proco, if I myself truly will have no want for a woman, is this counterintuitive? I want to share something, and I'm very eager to hear additional feedback. I want to share a perspective. This isn't the perspective. This is a perspective. And I want to hear other people's thoughts. So Proco says, if I myself truly, I will have no want for a woman. Isn't that counterintuitive? So we're talking about, honestly, being in relationships. And what this is my A perspective, not the, but A. If we can get to the point where it's like there's the kind of like different steps. So we're here. Let's say our baseline right now is like, man, I really want a relationship. I'm not content. I'm lonely. I am not fulfilled. I really am wanting somebody. To then move from that place and actually start doing the work to go inward, and to even go on, like, think of it, I'm going to go on a sabbatical. I'm just not even going to pursue that. I'm going to pursue becoming who I need to be to attract that person, to like welcome them into my life. And I'm going to take a break. And anytime I feel that sense of want, I'm going to establish narratives for myself. And I think of them as sound bites. So anytime I'm feeling the like desperate need, I am going to go tend to myself. And when I say tend to myself, I really actually mean TLC, like tender loving care. For me, I am the one responsible for TLC for me. My darling is not, my sisters are not, my best friends are not, my parents are, no one else is responsible for TLC except for me. And then as we let go, it's like what David Hawkins talks about. As we let go, as we release, we actually end up kind of moving up emotionally, where we're no longer needing that other person. And now when they come into our life, because I do think that that's a natural progression, we need them, we let go, we find meaning and fulfillment, and then they come to us. I've seen this happen for so many people. I've seen it happen for me too. And at the same time, it's in the letting go, it's in the finding fulfillment and finding satiation in and of ourselves, and who did God call me to be? And let me go live the mission. Like, this isn't just, again, it's not just turning inward and becoming obsessed with ourselves. It's like, no, who am I and what am I created to do? What's my mission? Having purpose. Somebody asked me the other day on the Knowing Show, they were like, how do I, as a man, gain more confidence? So that I can attract a woman? And I said, go find a purpose. Have a purpose. There is nothing sexier than a man with purpose. And if your purpose is to go find a woman, that's that's probably going to actually end up attracting the wrong women, because the women that I think you would want is a woman who actually has a mission in and of herself. And then when she finds somebody equally yoked, we're both in a mission together. And man, do I want to help you. Man, do I see your vision. And that's actually what made me really attracted to my first husband. He was talking to my mom about his dreams. And I was sitting in the car and listening, and I was like, I want to help you. That was exactly what I thought. I was 17 years old, and I thought, I want to help you. I want to help you bring your vision to life. But here's what got dangerous. I didn't have a vision for myself. Y'all, if we don't have a vision for ourselves, if we don't have a mission, if we don't have a purpose, we are going to inevitably look to another person to become our vision, to become our purpose, to become our mission. And then that puts them in basically this role that they will never be able to fulfill for us. And that's how codependence starts in so many ways. And so the more you and I can go inward, who am I? What am I called to do? Let me go pursue that. We're going to start attracting the right people to us. And in that process, I actually believe that we really do attract that person. I just want to save the chat really fast because the chat can disappear. And I actually do genuinely come back and look at your comments later. So let me do that. And then we're going to keep going. All right, I think I froze. Am I back? Okay, I think I'm back. All right, jumping back here in the chat. Proco, tell me your thoughts, and I'd also love to hear other people's perspective. Again, that was my A perspective, and I'd love to hear others. All right. Here we go. Moodasir, hello. Good to see you. My Cool says, hi, first rule of love is if you don't love yourself first, you are able to nourish yourself, groom yourself, enjoy your own company, and think for yourself. No one else will. Once you achieve this, you will attract this. So effectively, if we have that concept, if we have the love for ourselves and we really tend to ourselves, then that serves as an example for how others treat us. And to your point, man, Michael, good call, because if we are not going to be the ones willing to do the work to get to know ourselves, why would anybody else do that work? Like, that's lazy at best and hypocritical at worst. And so us doing the work, us looking in the mirror and healing our past wounds and moving, then once we've healed the past, then we really truly are free to move into the future. And so moving into the future, and Chris Adams, I freaking love this answer. Seek first the kingdom and the rest will be added to you. That's the rest of the word. And the rest of which we are worried about so much so will come to us. Reading Matthew 6 tells you that. I love that. Tommy says, when feeling that feeling of want, turn inward instead. So flipping perfect Occam's razor in practice, if I may. Thank you, Tommy. You're wonderful. God needs to be more important than our partners to get it right. Cast Blast. I completely agree. Y'all, it really is a hierarchy. You know, my darling, okay, this was a hard moment. My darling called me out on this back in November. He said, I feel like I have been the superordinate principal in your life and you've been kind of navigating me. And and he was like, we need to have a superordinate principal outside of us so that we're both orbiting it together, so that if you get thrown out of orbit, I'm not pulled with you. And if I get thrown out of orbit, I'm not thrown out with you. It was one of the most brilliant relationship discussions we've ever had. Because here's the thing. I only knew how to do relationship in codependence. I've had to teach myself and learn how to not be codependent in a relationship. And so I've done a lot of missteps, and so has he, because he leans on being codependent too. So we're able to catch it in each other, which is helpful. But man, my modus operandi has been codependent. And so I have put him as the center of my universe many times, and he's done the same thing. He sometimes puts his kids as the center of his universe. And so it's a continual release of, you're not the center. God is at the center to use both of y'all's example there, and then call out both Cass Glass and Christopher. If we're not having a superordinate principle bigger than you, me, everybody around us in this physical world, one, it remains stable when things get crazy. And then two, it also helps it so that we're not putting so much pressure on that person to fulfill on an obligation that they didn't even know that they were signing up for. God bless my former husband, like I really was so focused on him that I think he wanted, well, he wanted a lot of things. But I think that, there was a lot. I put all my worth on him. So when he wasn't treating me the way that he should have treated me, it really was devastating for me. And I didn't hold my own. I didn't say, hey, like, actually don't treat me this way. Like, this is disrespectful, or that's unkind, or that's not right. Instead, I just crumbled as a person and just assumed like he knows better than me. I must be worthless, and that's giving him so much power rather than maintaining. That's the thing about the emotional levels. When we're able to maintain peace or maintain joy, we call the other person up to meet us. But man, if the second they have a bad day, we drop down to meet them and we're both now having a bad day, man, that's like a roller coaster cycle that is everybody's on a doomed ride. But if you and I can maintain that level of like, man, I'm going to be good. Sure, I'm going to have boundaries up so that if you're disrespectful or unkind, I'm going to do something about it in kindness and in love, but not as a reaction, not out of pride, not out of ego, because I've dropped down. I can maintain peace. I can maintain joy and instill my boundaries. That's the thing. When we're not living for someone else's expectation or approval, we are free. We're free to toe the line, to hold the standard for excellence, to hold the standard for who we want to be in our mission, and be okay even when someone else is not. Just jumping in the chat, Algie, hola, good to see you. 𝐤𝐢𝐯𝐞𝐫𝐞, positive. Tommy, I already read that. Thank you for saying that. Mudasir, good morning. Man in the Hat says, our purpose is love. Have true faith and be obedient of God. Live in his will, not ours. I love that. Mudasir says, I hope you're fine. I'm fine. I'm good. I've had a really good day. Never give your power away, Wayne. Yes. Y'all, isn't that the truth? Oh my gosh. Ajay, hello. Steve Hannigan says, I've lost someone really close who passed away. I'm finding myself on my own. Wow. Finding it really hard to cope with no interest in life. Oof. Wow. I'm curious, it's really, really, really hard to find meaning again after we've lost our person, whether it was when I lost my brother-in-law, it was so hard to find purpose. And when my sister obviously lost her husband, it was so much harder. And I think that that's really a question. Like, is there a mission that you're called to? Like, why are you here? And I actually think leaning into that is really helpful, and moving through the emotions. So when you're in grief, that's not the time to be asking, why am I here? When you're in grief, it's honoring the grief. And I read this quote where it was, every lament is a love song. Every lament is a love song, and really honoring the laments and the grief as a testament to the love of the person and for the person that was lost, to the life that they lived. And even anger. I was doing a knowing retreat it was a men's knowing retreat, and one of the men shared, he was like, his brother had died. And he was like, I think I've been angry at my brother for dying. He was like, I didn't even know, but I've been angry at him for leaving me. Well, that's huge. Like, we can be angry at someone for dying when it wasn't their fault, but you left me, you abandoned me. I'm here alone. How can I do this alone? I talked to a woman yesterday where she has twins and her husband died. It's just like, oh my gosh, my cousin, she's 6 kids and her husband died. It's just like so devastating to lose these people. And there's going to be a whole slew of emotions that come with death. And we're not taught relationships, and we're not taught how to grieve. And so, Steve, I think you're doing such a beautiful job. The way that you've shown up over the last over the last couple of times you've been on, it's been beautiful to witness. And so I just honor you for being willing to even have these conversations in the first place. Marcus, thank you for joining. Allegheny, thank you. He says, love the scarf. Powered by purpose. Good word. Thank you. My music, Gen X. I subscribe to this channel because my parents always told me to follow my dreams. Oh, I love that. Yes. Man, what a blessing to have parents that tell you that. My gosh. Sweetie, hello. The single life works great. It is true. It's funny. There's a lot of meaning to be found in being single. You know, somebody mentioned the other day, they're like, I'm old and handicapped and alone and so lonely. And I just encouraged him, you know, there's a lot of other people just like you. So how can you actually take your loneliness and alchemize it? That alchemy is a process of turning lead to gold. How can we serve? How can we actually take our problem and create a solution for it, not just for ourselves, but for everybody else? Y'all, that's being a business entrepreneur, is like, I'm going to solve my problem and allow for that solution to go to more people. So what are your problems? And solve them, and then welcome other people into the folds of the solution. AJ says, where are you from? I grew up in Maryland, in the US. Roshni, thank you. Rick, good to see you. Y'all, I unfortunately need to hop off. I need to go eat dinner, and then I need to do my branding and marketing show. I am going to be back on tomorrow. So I'm going to just do some housekeeping. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. I may be a few minutes late. I'm actually working out with a friend of mine tomorrow. We have a 6 a.m. workout. God bless. So I think I might be like 7:15 or 9:15 Eastern. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'm going live at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So 7 a.m. Eastern is our morning show where we do the cultivation of spiritual intelligence. And then the evening is 6:30 p.m. This week's been a little bit funky. So we'll do that. But y'all, I'm grateful for all of you joining tonight. I'm going to save the rest of the chat here because I didn't get a chance to go through everybody. But I'm looking at these. I just want you guys to know. So one, please be kind. But two, I just really love like learning with you guys and just hearing what's on your heart and what you guys are asking and topics that you guys even want to discuss too. So thank you guys so much for joining. Humanity, thank you, Cass Blast. Enmonk says, wait. Oh, wait a minute. Name says, why are you leaving? Where are you leaving in from? I'm from Maryland, but I'm leaving to go eat my dinner. Andy, good evening. I'm doing well. I'm excited to go eat. Oh, Tommy Schaefer, look at you, man. You freaking dobre noche. Tommy says, where are you from? Czech Republic. Dobre Reino. Oh, I don't know. That's cool. I like, okay, yeah, what language is that? Dobre actually sounds, oh gosh, I don't actually want to say what it sounds like because I probably am going to get that so wrong. Ben, oh, I'm so glad to hear. Hold on, before we jump off, Ben jumped on 2 or 3, I think it was 3 days ago, and said that his girlfriend was having tests for, I think it was pancreatic cancer, Christina. And he says, I wanted to thank you so much for that beautiful prayer for my girlfriend the other day. Tomorrow she's getting the results from her tests. Oh, Ben, please let us know. I actually checked today to see if she had commented back on my comment on the video where we prayed for her. And I just, that's so hard. So I would love to hear. I would love to hear how that goes. Sender V, oh, I feel like you always are jumping on at the end. I'm so bummed to miss you. I'm jumping off. Ijima. Good to see you. I'm sorry we're jumping off. Afros, Midso. But I'm sorry I'm leaving. I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, and then again, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Neon, thank you. I will enjoy the meal. I'm excited. All right, y'all. Have a good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern.